mustachio, and he bears a heavy load. He goes where he wants to go. That man is mustachio.
Michael Van Runkle here for HotCars.com. I just spent the better part of a day off-roading in Chevy's new Silverado ZR2. The ZR2 is obviously a response to the Ford F-150 Raptor and the Ram TRX, and it really answers the question of, do you really want to spend $100,000 on a super truck with up to 702 horsepower? Instead, the ZR2 comes with a naturally aspirated V8, putting out 420 horsepower, and it starts at 67 grand and up. I want to take you through, show you everything I liked about the ZR2, some of the things I didn't quite agree with, but in the meantime, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Thanks. Chevy decided not to supercharge the ZR2 and instead just did a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8. It's doing 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good, and that torque's available pretty low down, but the truck they gave me has the optional Borla exhaust, which really helps it sound as good as maybe a Hellcat Hemi, for example. So let's fire this thing up. Definitely a little beefy. Wants me to put my seatbelt on. I've got the AC blasting because it's 90 degrees outside, as displayed on this enormous 13.4-inch touchscreen. So since Chevy didn't go all out in the horsepower wars, really all the off-roading goodies are sort of what sets the ZR2 apart from trims like the High Country and the LT of the Silverado. It's got this nice console-mounted shifter. Put it down into drive. I'm in normal mode and 4 high. I'm gonna crank it over using this dial over here into off-road mode. I'm gonna put it in 4 low for now because we're about to do a little bit of a steep little technical section here. Pulling away, the steering is pretty light, which is nice on the road and off, especially if you're sort of going high speed and avoiding rocks. On the road, it definitely has better steering feel than the LT or the High Country, and I wonder if that has to do with the mud terrain tires that they installed. So we're just in 4 low here, and we're going up a pretty good little surface. The mud terrains are Goodyear Wranglers. They're 275 wide, and I am not air down at all. So they just checked. I'm at 38 PSI. I'm coming up to a pretty tight little section here, so I will do the front and rear lockers using the little piano key button here. I'm still getting sort of used to how this all works. I got to put it in neutral to get it into true 4 low, and then I can push the front locker button. It sometimes helps if I roll back a little bit. Yeah, now it's going. 4 lock, 4 low, front and rear locker, put it back in drive. Let's go up this hill and see how it does. Now, an important little detail while going up a hill like this is that the ZR2 also includes aluminum skid plates under the engine and stretching all the way back as far as the transfer case. You still got to pick your line a little bit on a rocky road like this, and for example right now I can't see anything, so I'll press home, turn on front camera and a 360-degree camera, and that'll help me miss some of the larger boulders. It's also got rock sliders down the side that are pretty tough. We put them to good use a couple times. They can fully lift half the vehicle, and they'll make optional hoops as steps for people who want the rock sliders but mostly live in town and don't want to step up into the cabin and slip off the rock sliders, because they are not for specifically walking on or putting your foot in to help you get up into a big truck like this. And size matters when it comes to these off-roaders. In fact, the Silverado ZR2 has a longer wheelbase than the Ram TRX, which really surprised me. But overall, it's about 4 inches shorter in length, which means a better approach angle and a better departure angle. I think the approach angle is 31.8 degrees and the departure angle is 21.3. I'm cranking it over here, which you're not supposed to do with the front diff locked, but this is a brand new truck and it's tough. So let's see how it does. we're just coming up this little hill, no problem whatsoever. And keep in mind, I'm not aired down. I was aired down earlier in the day, and so this is sort of a learning experience, seeing how it does with the full recommended PSI in the tires. Now I'm coming to a nice steep little hill here, and I can't see anything because, one criticism, the hood is quite large and you really can't see well. Luckily we've got this front view camera. I don't know if you can see it in that camera right there, and I can do that enough until I come over and check out the road. We're doing okay. We're in 4 low, so we're just creeping along here. Now, one fun little detail is, if we're in 4 low and I switch it from off-road mode to terrain mode, then it activates a one-pedal driving system so that I don't have to hit the brakes when, for example, I'm going down a nice steep hill like this. There we go, now it's going nice and slow. So you gotta be in low on the shifter and low in 4 low to enable that sort of hill descent system, one pedal driving, almost like you might say a Tesla EV. And we did see some Rivians doing some off-roading up here, but I actually saw one get stuck and his friend had to come help him get out of that situation. Now we're in sort of a flatter zone and still in 4 low, locked in the low gear here, which means it's a little bit lurchy, but I kept it in there because we're coming to a nice tight section where, without a doubt, I'm wishing that this truck was a little bit shorter, because now I need to back up a little so that I'm not just cranking on the steering wheel with the front diff locked. Now we're back in drive, put it in full low, going forward again, trying not to drop off this little rock too fast. But you can see what's impressive is how well it just sort of handles itself. That was the rock slider there. It's pretty tame. Cranking it again with the front diff locked. You just have to with a wheelbase this long, but we got through it no problem. And for a truck that does not have disconnecting sway bars, front or rear, unlike a Jeep Gladiator, against which I think it's sort of going to compete almost more than the TRX or the Raptor, it's got an impressive suspension system. They call it Multimatic. They're 40 millimeter, like 3 tube shocks with 3 different valves, and they do a really good job no matter the terrain you're in. It's a little bit impressive how well it can do, given that I can't select different drive modes for the shocks. With electronically adaptive shocks, maybe I could change the settings if I was going at higher speeds or lower speeds. Speaking of which, I'm in a lower speed now. I'm gonna put it into drive, hopefully let it shift. Paddle shifter did work there. So I'm in low, but I'm sort of able to cruise a little bit now. That is, I'm in 4 low, but I'm sort of able to cruise just a little bit over this smooth section. Now it is electric assist power steering, which is not really ever my favorite, but it works pretty well in this truck. I think because of the heavier engine up front when compared to the new LT with a 2.7 liter engine that has excellent torque, but is probably a little lighter, and because of that, maybe doesn't provide as much steering feel when the tires are gripping the road. But here we are in a nice little tilt section, coming towards a little ravine slash gully, and I'll just take it wide and place it down. We'll get front wheel down in there, and the articulation is pretty impressive. They took us to a specific little sandy hill climb where it's rutted and you had your 2 wheels off the ground diagonally and then your other 2, and with the lockers on, no problem. We could show you that clip just now, filmed it on my phone. It looks pretty impressive, especially considering that that truck does not have disconnecting sway bars, which would be nice in a situation like this, and on higher speeds you might want it, but sacrificing sway bars in a truck with leaf springs in the rear, you know, Chevy's bean counters had to make a decision. Do you want electronically disconnectable sway bars or do you not? And the bean counters decided they did not. Whether or not Chevy's customers would want to pay for disconnecting sway bars is another question, because sort of the whole point of the ZR2 is that it is at a price level below the Raptor and the TRX. Coming up to another little pretty rutted section, it is cool to have that one pedal driving because this is, after all, a pretty heavy truck. It weighs 5,620 pounds, is the official curb weight, and it does also feel pretty long, which can help in some situations and not help in others. Somehow I got a fly in here. The back seat is super roomy, which is probably partially because it only has a 5'9" bed. Personally, I'd rather have a longer bed out back, a smaller back seat, and that might also appeal to the overlanding community more if they could put a full-length camper shell on this thing and sleep in it. 5'9" just isn't gonna cut it. Now, I was talking to some of Chevy's reps and they were saying that orders for the Colorado ZR2, really, those people in their research were actually doing a lot of off-roading with that truck. Whether or not the ZR2 is more of an appearance package on the Silverado for city dwellers or actually gets used for off-roading, only time will tell, but a longer bed might convince overlanders that this is a solid option when compared to, for example, the Gladiator Rubicon, which has a tiny bed, or a Wrangler, and, you know, it gets probably slightly better fuel economy off-road than a Ram TRX. But how well can a Ram TRX go through this situation? It is 7 inches wider, which with about the same wheelbase, this one is actually slightly longer, about the same wheelbase and 7 inches wider means on that sharp turn back there where I had to back up for a moment, you would just be hopeless in a T-Rex. You might have to do 3 K-turns to get out of there or something. So now we're coming out onto a smoother section and I'm gonna try to get this fly out of here. So now I'm gonna put it into 4 high because we're coming out onto sort of a flatter section here. Gotta put it into neutral with this little thing. Then you push the 4 high button over on this little button pad where all the 4-wheel drive controls are. And it's best if you sort of let it roll for a second. I've got 4 high on the console here. Push it back into drive and roll away. Because I switched it into 4 high, I've only got the rear diff locked now, and I'll just turn that off because nothing technical up ahead and we want it to be open to allow for better driving dynamics. Now, an important consideration is Chevy totally revamped the design of the ZR2. It's got fender flares, it's got a really aggressive front end, rock sliders, it's got the multifunction tailgate that you see all those commercials for, which is actually kind of cool. And it's even got this little thing that pops up to help you haul yourself up, like a little handle joystick thing to climb up into the bed. Whether or not the styling will attract customers looking at a T-Rex or a Raptor remains to be seen. It's a little bit more subdued, but that could also be a good thing for city folks who are buying this as sort of semi-work truck, semi-off-roader. Now we can sort of speed up and move along here, and I'll talk about the interior. The touchscreen, pretty nice. You know, you can pull up your cameras at any time. It's showing me my rear cameras here. It's got a nice big digital dash with little displays for the off-roading and the coolant temperature. An interesting little detail for the ZR2 as compared to the LT or the high country Silverados I drove yesterday. Those two had an oil pressure gauge on the gauge cluster here. The ZR2 does not, which is a little bit weird since it's sort of the maxed out spec. And the high country does have the Super Cruise semi-autonomous system, level 2 autonomous driving, and again, the ZR2 does not. But that is more explainable because the LT has different front bumpers to allow for the sensors. You don't want those bumpers on the ZR2 because you're just going to damage them and tear them off while you're off-roading. And Chevy's reps explained that to us. They've got a test mule out. It's done 31,000 miles of on-road and off-road driving to allow them to really torture test it. And they showed it to us and it's pretty beat up. So respect to them for really putting it through their paces. And what we've done today has really shown that the ZR2 really can hold its own in most off-roading trails. I've come away totally impressed. We also got to do some on-road driving where we could play with the drive modes for normal and sport, which changes the steering assist, makes it a little firmer, and the throttle response, I think. I don't think it plays with the Multimatic shocks. And on-road driving is very important. For a truck with independent front suspension and leaf springs at the rear, This thing drives very well on the highway, and it also has an 8,900 pound towing rating, and the ZR2 comes with a trailer brake adjuster, which is really cool, even though it's not really a very serious towing truck at 8,900 pounds. And the rest of the dash is pretty nice. I like what they call the piano keys here for choosing your drive modes and your traction control and your lock differentials, and even putting down the tailgate automatically. Sort of like the Ford Bronco, but those are bigger and up here. The rest of it is pretty attractive. It does have ventilated seats, but the ventilated seats power seem to change based on how much the rest of the AC is blowing. So I've got the AC blowing low because of our audio here on our HotCars YouTube channel. But that means that the ventilated seats aren't blowing too hard. Not quite as good as the Mazda CX-50 that I drove a few weeks ago. Highly recommend checking out that review. That was another scorcher. And the Mazda CX-50's ventilated seats are literally the best ventilated seats I've ever experienced. This one gets pretty good once you turn the AC to full blast, and right now it's just providing a slight cooling feeling, shall we say. Coming through this sort of washboardy section, you can see it's a little bit bumpy, and it was definitely smoothed out when we were aired down. It's sort of a learning lesson for me, because I rarely air down my Montero, and I just aired down my Cayenne for the first time ever. And it's incredible how much of a difference it makes going down the same road again and experiencing the added traction, the smoothness, and the performance of airing down. It makes the whole truck just ride better, and you feel like that Multimatic shock system is able to absorb more of the little bumps here. With the tires fully inflated to road driving, the Multimatic system does pretty good. This is a very, very chopped up road, and it's just cruising along. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit more about what the new ZR2 is capable of out here in the Joshua Tree Desert. I've got it in 2 high. I'm about to blast down this highway, but before I go, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Thanks.